I think the Patriots won't win unless they use my defense. If you watched my video, Patriots versus Steelers is going to be the most important matchup in both teams' seasons. I'm going to tell you why when I explain each team's game plan right now. So let's talk about the Patriots defense first before I get into the Steelers offense, just so you can understand how I want the Steelers offense to approach this. So the Patriots defense is going to play typical man coverage. Cover 2 man, the cover 1 robbers, cover 1 thieves. But how I want the Patriots defense to play is I want them to use match coverage or man on demand coverage 90% of the time, and then 10% of the time just regular normal zone coverage. Why do I want that? Why do I want them to ditch the man coverage just for this game? Well, they have Jonnu Smith, Pat Fryermuth, Washington, DK Metcalf. 4 matchup nightmares. And you're telling me your awful secondary is going to play one-on-one match coverage against those guys? Yeah, good luck. Use my defense before you regret it. Why match coverage? Well, you have zone coverage, which later converts into man coverage, giving 2 different looks to Aaron Rodgers, hence throwing him off. Force him into even worse decisions is the defensive stunts and the blitzes I'm going to talk about. Doing that without chaotically blitzing like they did against the Raiders. Use cover 2 match, cover 4 match variants. We're going to use cover 3 cloud variants. I actually want to play match coverage while creating double teams on certain players and blitzing at the same time. Say a scenario here. A tight end and DK Metcalf on the same side. You have a tight end and a wide receiver on this side. I want to double team, and I want to get to the quarterback real fast. So the defensive tackles, Christian Barmore and Milton Williams, are the 2 most important players in this game. They are responsible for forcing Aaron Rodgers outside of the pocket, and that right there is where we're going to build our trap for Aaron Rodgers to get sacked or do something bad. So I want the defensive tackles to be in a 2-eye technique, which is basically pressuring the quarterback, moving to the inside of the offensive guards, facing the inside of the offensive guards, hence pressuring Aaron Rodgers like this, collapsing the pocket, forcing him outside, right? And then I want to involve a C-gap blitz, or let's say Robert Spillane or any middle linebacker kind of blitzes through the C-gap blitz, coming in free, makes Aaron Rodgers fall into the trap, hence forcing him into a bad decision or getting a clean hit on the quarterback. Or if, let's say, it's a Tampa 2 or the middle linebacker isn't available to blitz and is in zone, then what you can do is you can put the defensive ends in a 4-eye technique or a outside technique containing Aaron Rodgers inside a collapsed pocket. So these 2 are containing Aaron Rodgers. Think of it like this. It's someone outside is just standing there. Like, I'm gonna sit and wait for you to get out of the pocket, forcing him to stay in that pocket. And then when I see you outside the pocket, I'm just gonna disengage off that tackle, hence running towards Aaron Rodgers, forcing him into a bad decision where 2 top-tier defensive tackles are waiting to eat him up. And not only does all this on the defensive line force him into a bad decision, you have the defensive backs who are playing match coverage, so they're giving you 2 looks. So they're in a cover 2, then they're in a cover 2 man. Or they're in cover 3, then they're in 1. Now let's talk about the red zone defense scenario here. Cover 2, right? I want the safeties to kind of step down. Not unlike a normal cover 2, they're going to step down, hence helping the middle linebackers cover kind of the sides, these sides. So the linebackers here, and then the sides, the safeties covering this. So there's 3 to 2 yards behind them in the back of the end zone, like a triangle. It's taking away the whole middle, right? So the middle is taken, and I want the defensive line to actually be in certain techniques. So the defensive tackles are going to be in a 3 technique, which is actually facing the outside of the offensive guards, hence moving like this, forcing Aaron Rodgers to stay in the pocket. And the reason why I want it this time, unlike prior, because this is a tighter space. Red zone is tighter. So him staying in the pocket, he's not going to be able to roll out, and he's not going to be able to work in this space he has. So the defensive tackles are in a 3 tech, and The defensive ends as well are still in that outside 7 technique. Now that it's tight and it's the red zone, so he might actually try to run for it, and that's where the nearby safeties, and that's why I stepped them in front, not only to get Rodgers if he tries to move forward, but also to help the middle linebackers. So the middle linebackers are taken. Cover 2, DK Metcalf can't dunk on us. The middle linebacker is actually taking this spot, and then there's a Sam linebacker taking this side of the field. So it's taking down the seams, taking away DK Metcalf. So we have this space right here, which is next to this safety. This is empty, right? Here's where it gets pretty cool. I want the outside linebacker or this player out here rushing to actually bluff blitz, which means he fakes the blitz, taking the offensive tackle's attention and then kind of stepping back. Well, let's say Aaron Rodgers wants to throw a quick slant, right? He did that a ton against the Seahawks, especially in the red zone. And a lot of other teams did too. Aaron Rodgers is going to think this guy is blitzing, and then this linebacker is going to step back, hence making the play on this slant that Aaron Rodgers will throw, assuming that this guy is going to blitz. Van Ginkel did it on Aaron Rodgers last season. Vikings versus Jets. I have other red zone defenses like involving C-gap blitzes, involving safety blitzes. I would love that. I'm not going to get too deep into this because I want the video to be fun and not coachy. Like, this will contain Aaron Rodgers in hell. I hope you are convinced that all this is way better than playing cover 2 man and cover 1 and getting burnt by freaking Trey Tucker of all people. So let's get into the Steelers offense. The Steelers are predicting the Patriots to use that typical man coverage and not use this. And yes, he's 41. Yes, he isn't like he was, but he's going to take those 4 matchup nightmares in Washington, DK Metcalf, Jonnu Smith, and Freiermuth pre-snap motioning them, as well as creating one-on-one matchups that actually will get him free yards. And if Tua can do this, Aaron Rodgers can do it better. He still has the basic knowledge that, hey, I can motion DK Metcalf, I can make Carlton Davis miscommunicate or mess up. I can motion any other tight end and make Robert Spillane kind of cover him and think he has help and then leave him free, hence give him free yards. He knows all this already, and he can do it to perfection. He's done it since the late 2000s. Another thing Aaron Rodgers is going to use is the empty formations. The empty formations are going to expose the matchup, so it's going to give Aaron Rodgers a clear pre-snap indication. The empty formations are going to expose the defense of the Patriots, which I think will be man coverage, on top of the fact that he's already a pre-snap mastermind. And not only is he going to do that and know where to throw pre-snap, he's also going to utilize motion in those empty formations, which is going to give him even more free yards, because say you have one of those 4 players I talked about motioning from this side all the way to this side. If the defense player can actually catch up, or because of the formation being too wide, the communication is going to be less effective or not even there, hence giving the receiver even more open. So he can use empty formations, he can use pre-snap motions, and he can do both, as well as the play action and the run to expose you without even doing anything. And I think if the Steelers offense does all this, then it can beat the Patriots without even doing much. And I hope I'm wrong. Now let's get into the Patriots offense. So I came out after the Raiders game and I said, hey Josh, you have 3 insane running backs. Can you each give them a turn? Can you make that Ben Johnson offense? And indeed, against the Miami Dolphins, he used those 2 running backs in Ramondre Stevenson and Trayvon Henderson. Give them turns and then use the play action, hence getting the first touchdown. He used that a lot in the first quarter. And I'm happy he listened to that. Hey, maybe he watched my video. He saw me lose my voice saying, use the 2 running backs, bro. As well as making Drake May comfortable and making him you fitting your offense into Drake May, not fitting Drake May into your offense. And I think he's fixing that and he's improving on that. And I think he should do that with Drake May. I obviously still don't like Drake May's footwork. I think it's making Josh's plays look bad on some occasions, and on some occasions it's making him look great because he's so athletic and he's so good and he's so unique. He's just a top 10 quarterback in this league, but I wish he would fix his footwork and he would be so unstoppable. He fixes that, he's a top 5 quarterback easy. I'm not even exaggerating. On film, you see it. Now, the Steelers defense. Steelers are going to use man coverage, right? They're going to use man coverage. They're going to use one-on-ones. They're going to depend on one-on-ones. They're going to pray that they win. They used a bit of zone coverage as well versus Seattle after they got burnt a couple times. And on those zone coverage plays, gave up so much yards. And they went back to man coverage and then got burnt on man coverage. And then they mostly called man coverage. And I think Drake May will ball out versus this defense simply because it's one-on-one matchups. You have Stephon Diggs, a crispier out runner, who you will engage more into this offense, and especially this game, as well as use tight end Hunter Henry, a elite route runner and a top tier tight end who can be utilized in mismatches, as well as Austin Hooper. I think this game is going to be his game simply because he's that smooth route runner who will burn Jalen Ramsey on a post. And that's why we signed Stephon Diggs. He's an elite route runner to actually beat those top cornerbacks in one-on-one matchups. And Seattle's receivers in Jigba and the other guy, I forgot his name, they actually burnt the hell out of Jalen Ramsey. So what's Stephon Diggs going to do, right? I think the Patriots won't win unless they use my defense. Hopefully we still win, but it's going to be way harder just because they have all the advantages in the world against that particular defense. Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers have to sharpen up on defense as well if they want to win, because the Patriots have the perfect way to beat the Steelers defense as well. That is why I think this will be a high-scoring game. I predict the Patriots win 31-28. Patriots go up to 2-1, build up more confidence, get the team more organized, and hopefully get the defense, the secondary especially, more organized. And I don't think it's going to get better anytime soon until Gonzo comes back. And that's when we kind of start elevating the whole team. Defense wins championships. Defense wins you big games. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for the awesome comments on the shorts or on the long form videos that made my week. That means so much to me. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you next time. Peace.